everyone. Welcome to another edition of D.Moss Live. I'm honored to have a special guest with me today. He is the Grammy-nominated singer, songwriter, producer, and philanthropist. Capital P. The one and only Alvin Garrett. Garrett, welcome. Thank you for allowing me to do this interview with you, man. I really appreciate your time, your energy, your talent, all that.
It's an honor to be here, my brother D, coming from the South, my brother up north, up top. It's good to talk to you, man. I'm excited about getting into it with you today.
All right, that's what's up. You said coming from the South. I think you were Alabama boy.
I am born and raised in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Roll Tide. We always say that.
All right.
Roll Tide. But been in Birmingham since high school graduation. Graduated from college in Birmingham, made that home, raising family there. So I'm a Birmingham boy, but I've traveled a lot of places, and I love coming up north to see my people. My production team lives in Boston, and so most of all of the music people hear in my catalog has come from that area. And I just met some guys when I was traveling, and we just became brothers from another mother. Man, we've been making music for almost 2 decades now.
That's what's up. That's beautiful. My pops is from Tuskegee, Alabama. So I ain't an Alabama boy, but every summer we spend 2 months down there. So I'm just like, listen.
But it's in you. It's
I'm just gonna say, man, going out into the field. We was out in the country, like chopping the watermelons and bringing up into the house, the whole nine. I'm just saying. I just had to add that piece before we got rolling.
Absolutely. Well, yeah. If your pops is from Tuskegee, that's definitely in the heart of Alabama.
So there we go. All right. So the first thing I want to ask you, let's talk about this new single, You Give Me Life. It's been described as a deeply personal and uplifting song. What inspired you to write this track, and what message do you hope listeners take away from it?
Well, first, all of the music I write goes back to my roots as being a preacher's kid, right? The way I see love and the way I see relationships was really imprinted upon me by watching my parents, man. I'm just one of those young men that can say I saw Black love in the home, working class upbringing. My dad was not only a preacher, but a coal miner. My mom was not only a stay-at-home mom, but an aspiring business owner, got her real estate brokerage later on in life after raising kids. But I just saw them loving on each other. But a specific thing happened to me when I was 8. My dad actually had a life-threatening car accident when I was 8 years old. And we weren't sure he was going to make it, but my mom was right there. And from hearing the stories, she prayed him back to life. He actually died on the table. And so just going through, being a young man, not knowing if my father would come home again, after he's always there, but learning how strong my mom's love was for praying him through that and keeping the family together. That's just in my spirit. And so when people hearing this song, just know that life experience comes out in the passion you hear, and that love actually can inspire you. It can give your dreams life. It can give you life. It can give your hopes life, and relationships. We should give each other life. And so that's what this song is all about. In the purity of it, it's just, hey, your love brings me alive, and I'm not just existing, I'm dreaming.
That's a beautiful thing. Preacher's kid. I'm also a preacher's kid.
Okay.
I feel you. I look at love. I swear, it's like love is an amazingly powerful thing. It's like probably one of the most undervalued values that we have in America. In terms of the power of love, you pray them back to life. Woo. Okay. Man, you got goosebumps, man. You can't do that to me. We just started the interview.
Hey, yeah, man. You just nailed it. Love is one of the most undervalued values in America at this point in time. You're so absolutely right. Just to echo off that, I was talking to someone actually from a different race, and I was saying, I don't care what religion, race, background you're from. If love is not at the core of your value system, then we're not going to see eye to eye. Even if we claim the same faith, if love is not at the core of how you treat people, how you see the world, then we're not going to see eye to eye. I leave love at the core of everything I believe in. And so I just want to throw that in based on what you said there.
Nah, listen, man, given the music you make, you have to throw that in. You got to throw that in. So we need that. Yeah. That just threw me off. Okay, here we go.
Hey, you're a preacher's kid. You got to be able to flow
I
it.
know, but listen, man, I've been in church and folks will say something. I'm just like, what? So, all right. Because my second part of the question was going to be, can you share a personal experience or story that connects you to the song? But you already did that.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, when you talk about, you know, the power of faith, healing, and how, you know, combined with that element of love, it's something different. Now, let me ask you this. How do you take all that and put it into music? Given the way the industry standards are applied, even if you're independent, a lot of folks feel like there's a formula. But listening to your music all morning, you stepped outside that formula to the point where there's no real box. So if you talk about that new single and even some of your older songs, it's kind of like, tell me about your process, man. I want to get into the history, but I'm intrigued by your style of music, your delivery, the content, and then the thought process and the feelings behind it. So help me out with that.
Man, it's I appreciate you asking that question when you talk about the formula. As a young writer, I am a Grammy-nominated songwriter. I've won awards writing for other people, and it's important to understand what you mean, the formula. What is trending at radio? What's trending? What's similar to what other people doing? Because that's how the industry works. If you want to write for other people, even if you yourself want to get into the wave and get on radio. You know what I mean? So that formula is real, and all great writers pay attention to it because you have to do that in order to be, you know, reasonably successful, right? But then as an artist, right, there's something different when it comes to your artistry. You right? If you try to fit your artistry into a formula, is no longer art. And so one of the things throughout my career that I fought for is to be in a business position to where I could be an artist, where I could create what my soul feels, what my mind hears, and what I want to express through my music and still be able to pay bills, right? And so that I can say, I'm going to stand behind my sound, my process, use all of the talents that I've learned being a writer and a producer and all of that, but to create an Alvin Garrett sound that whether it sells or not, I'm proud of it. And most great art is done that way. You know, you don't go back and say, well, Prince sounds like this, or Michael Jackson sounds like Michael Jackson. He sounds like Prince. Marvin Gaye sounds like Marvin Gaye because why? They were artists. And so I think in modern day music, it's harder to find true artistry because most people are replicating a formula trying to get in the mix. So I actually appreciate you saying, hey, I appreciate your sound, your music, and it's not like what everybody else is doing. So as an artist, that's one of the greatest compliments I can receive.
Okay. I love your music. It's like when I can close my eyes and just vibe, and it's that type of music. It doesn't matter what I'm going through. We all have to self-medicate some way. Some people use drugs, some use alcohol, some hide behind the Bible, and some of them turn on the music, close their eyes, and they just go wherever the vibe takes you.
That's right.
So I listened to your music when TNG told me about it the other day. I'm like, okay, I'm digging this. But then I really got to listen to the music. So it's a healing type of vibe. So before I get into the inspirational soul, I got to talk about your career a little bit.
Yeah.
So your career musical journey, your journey in music spans over 2 decades. You worked both as an artist, as you implied, songwriter. Looking back, what was the defining moment when you knew music was your calling?
Honestly, man, at 11 years old, when I received my first bass guitar for a birthday, and my dad, he saw my fascination with the musicians at the church. I would just sit there as a little kid, looking at the bass player slapping on it, and he bought me my first bass guitar. Keep in mind, I don't come from a musical family. My dad's not musical. You know, I don't know. You know, I didn't see it growing up that like this is a family thing handed down. But he prayed for me. He said, "Son, if you want to learn how to play, give me your hands." Then he prayed a prayer and he said, "Lord, anoint his hands to play to your glory." I'll never forget that. And from that point forward, I knew it's like I couldn't put the bass guitar down. Wow. I toured around the world with that bass guitar, and that was always the foundation of me saying, no matter what I do, I want to go to college, I want to learn business, but I don't want to ever get away from music. And so that prayer and that a father and a parent saying, "Hey, we're going to give you the tools you need to explore your dreams." That was the defining moment for me. Is that I actually pursue my dream.
Wow, that's powerful. Okay. Can he touch my hands? Because my best friend, James Richard Bird, he's a keyboardist, and I used to watch him and we had a piano in the house. Me and my brothers, we just made noise. So I'm just like, can somebody,
I'm gonna hook you up with him, see if he can sell that prayer to you.
touch my throat just a little bit so I can hold a note for longer than 20 seconds. I'm just saying, it's just sidebar. We'll get back to that off the air.
Exactly.
The 2019 album, The Hill, stood for hope, inspiration, love, loss. How do these themes continue to influence your music today?
Man, that is my core. I say my core personality model. That's my everything that drives me. Is my hope that inspires me to pursue what I love at the risk of loss. Heal. If I don't wake up every day knowing what I'm hoping to do, dreaming to do, and get inspired enough to do something about it because I love it, knowing that there's a chance I might fail, then what am I doing? If I'm not on the heel of life, what am I actually doing? And so that's basically an acronym defining my personal faith is that if I dream of something, it's not good enough just to say, man, I want to do this. Like I say, my dad could have prayed all he wanted. I had to pick that thing up and practice every day. So it's the effort and the hard work that you put in to basically reach your goals. And it is an uphill climb, right? But it's worth it at all times. And so that's my record label. That's my entertainment company. That's my personal motto. It's woven into my songs. I'm always wanting to inspire some type of hope, be it my gospel music, be it my inspiration music, be it my love songs. I want people to listen to this. Man, I would love to have a relationship like that. Or I want a man talk to me like that. Or I want my woman to make me feel like that. That's woven into my decisions when I'm writing my lyrics is how can this uplift somebody, touch somebody? And so the heel is Alvin Garrett, man.
Right. It sounds like you're in love with the possibility of love.
Absolutely.
And I should say the possibility and existence of love. And it kind of carries you through. So it's like from Expose Yourself to The Lightness of Love and Songs for the Yard, your projects all seem to carry those messages of healing and empowerment. How do you decide which stories you're going to tell through your music?
That I'm glad you asked that. Throughout my career as an artist, writing for myself, it has been a journey. And it does depend on what space I'm in at the time. That first album in 2012, Expose Yourself, honestly, I had written a bunch of demos for a lot of other people that had been rejected and people that really support me say, hey, do your own music. Like, why don't you put it out? And so that album is actually a combination of a bunch of demos. So when I listen back to it, I'm like, I can hear where I was in life. But that was great music, but I put it together out of desperation, right? And then as I grew in this hill, I was also feeling desperate to follow behind my big song By Myself that really helped define my sound. I released that in 2015, this song called By Myself. It hit so hard, it inspired so many people. And I said, well, this is my lane. And then when I went to my next album, I was trying to capitalize on it. But that was the point after 2019 that I sort of hit a wall.
Okay.
Where I'll say I hit musical depression, where no matter how hard I tried, no matter what I did, I felt like, hey, you start feeling like you're not going to make it, and everybody that's successful hits that wall. But that was my moment. And then the pandemic came and I had nothing but myself in my studio. And I said, well, I got to make music I love. And that's when I feel I started listening to myself, hearing myself, and then singing for just out of pure joy of life itself. And so everything that came after that reflects a feeling that I was in, and I would stay in that moment. Even after the George Floyd incident, I did a small EP called The Awakening. That was the space I was in. You could see the cohesiveness in that project, the lightness of love. I said, hey, I'm tired of being down about this pandemic. I'm tired of being down about what happened to George Floyd. I'm tired of that feeling. Let me put something light out in the world. And when you listen to the lightness of love, you feel that lightness even in the production, even in the lyrics. It's thematic. I'm intentional about it. And like even fast forwarding to my project, Safety, SFTY, that project came from just experiencing human stories through the work I've done in prison reentry and workforce development, just helping and serving people, and just seeing what they're going through and
Mhm.
translating their stories that also taught me a lot about my own self. And right. And so that uh, choosing a theme also, I honestly feel like the theme chooses me.
Got you.
I just have to listen and embrace it and stand behind it and say, well, how can I weave every musical choice, every lyrical choice into this storyline that has overtaken my spirit at the time?
Right. Do you ever feel like something's whispering in your ear as you're writing? You create new songs and you're killing yourself to keep up with the words, and you're telling somebody to slow down, but ain't nobody there but you. You ever been in that zone?
Bro, absolutely. Absolutely. I call them downloads. It's like,
Right, right, right.
it's like you get it. Man, absolutely, bro. You just reminded me of actually an experience on a song I wrote called Hopefully Heaven. And man, that one hit me so hard. This featured on my most recent project, Safety. Man, it hit me so hard. I actually grabbed a pen and paper and I was crying while I was writing it. And I just couldn't stop scribbling because of how powerful the song was
Right.
as it came to me. And I typically may type things out, but man, I grabbed a good old fashioned pen.
It's the only way to keep up. I write poetry, so I'm just, oh, oh my goodness, you know. And
Yep, man. I was like, ooh, I'm feeling this one. I was like, I couldn't stop to go get the computer. I'm writing. And so that song is scribbled on a pad, and I hadn't done that. I mean, in forever, you know. So
right.
yeah.
All right. Now you talked about some of the work you do. As we talk about, let's get into the philanthropy and the RightLife program. Beyond music, you launched the RightLife program using songwriting as therapy for formerly incarcerated individuals.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about that initiative and what impact it has had.
Well, man, it started with just my songwriting style, working with artists, and trying to help them see who they are, right?
Mm-hmm.
Before we just get in and start making music, you know, it's like, hey, give me a sexy song. Well, what if this person doesn't feel sexy? What if this person is insecure? How can I make a song for somebody with just words and it doesn't connect to who they are? And so I've developed a production style to get artists to connect with the song. But I developed this same process to utilize for group therapy, behavioral health, and then partnering with the Dannon Project, which is one of the nation's leading prison reentry programs based right in Birmingham. The program just took on a whole new life because a lot of the participants use music as therapy, music as that outlet. A lot of the participants are rappers, aspiring to be in the music industry because a lot of people who come from at-risk background, they honestly have limited options in their mind, right? Until
Right.
you find places like the Dannon Project, you have limited options. The streets, number one, sports, number two, and music, number three. And most of the time, you know, you're not thinking education, which you should, but that's not always reality. It's sports, streets, and music. And so that program using music to say, let me help you in a workforce environment, not just a music environment, but in a workforce environment where we're training you to change your speaking, training you how not to go to a job interview with your pants hanging down or speaking street lingo, how to get into your change. Same way we wouldn't freestyle a song just only based on our traumatic experiences. But if we want to share our story, we would write that song. Right. And so just using the songwriting process, it helps to teach the participants the life writing process. How do I live my life intentionally as opposed to making impulsive decisions that I think about once I'm incarcerated? And so it's using this process with writing and music has been very successful in the context of prison reentry and workforce development.
Wow, that's dope. Okay. What role do you think music plays in healing and rehabilitation, especially for those who have faced struggles with the justice system in terms of long-term healing? We can talk about the process when we're actually working with people. Let's talk about the long-term impact. And if you could talk about any of the folks that you worked with maybe 2, 3, 4 years ago and how it's impacted their lives. If you have any examples, that would be great too.
I think just teaching people the possibilities of how to think differently, right? Because your mindset absolutely impacts how you approach life. And so many of the participants, this is just from my experience. I didn't go to college for this. It's just my experience.
Okay.
I've seen that if someone believes that all they can do is what they've done and experienced, then that's what they will do. I have to expose you to something and other possibilities. Like I've had people say, I can't stop smoking weed. And I say, okay, but are you a slave? What do you mean? No, I'm not a slave. I said, anytime you tell me you can't overcome something, you're a slave to that thing. So next time you tell me you can't do something, just go ahead and say, I'm a slave to that thing. And it's less palatable. It's less, nobody wants to turn around and say, yeah, man, I'm a slave to this. But
Right.
if I get them to see it that way, then I'm like, wait a minute, I actually can overcome this. It's going to be hard, but I can't say that I'm a slave. And so it's more about restructuring belief systems through music. Same way we say, hey, if you think you're a great rapper and all you can rap about is killing a person, killing another human being, right? And taking something from them. Is that what you want to live in life? Is that what you want to experience in life? Is it just because of what you've seen? Or can you change how you experience life through changing how you think about it? Something you may have shot at somebody about in the past, maybe you can forgive them for in the future if you practice it. And music is an exercise that allows the mind to experience and embrace something that you haven't experienced in life already. And also, it creates a safe environment for collaboration. You have a lot of what they say ops, and you have people from different gangs who say, for the sake of this song, we're gonna set all of that aside
Wow.
and say, hey, I need you. You're a producer. I need your bars. I need your energy. This is how we live our community. So by creating that safe space, they start seeing the value in each other, and not just the star, not just the person with the talent, but the person with an idea. So in
Right.
my class, it's not just about your musical talent, it's about your words, right? You don't have to be a producer. You don't have to be a rapper or a singer. What do you think about this topic? Now we take those words and we give them to the rapper. So we create an interdependence on each other through the exercise, and they become friends. And they see, wait a minute, I don't have to hate you. I actually need you. And so this music program gives people an opportunity who may not have ever seen themselves not hating each other, right? Simply because they live on different sides of town. And we are a safe space at the Dannon Project where people come for the same purpose, and that's to get their lives on track. And that trustworthy relationship in the community matters. And so, I congratulate each and every nonprofit organization out here in America that is a light in their community that says, no matter what you're going through, come to us, and in our own way, we're going to get you on that right path.
Wow. I think I'm gonna take all my creative artist friends and tell them they need to go work with Alvin Garrett, then come back to the writing process.
Yeah.
Just a thought. I'm just thinking out loud. My bad. So I do that. I'm like, I know. Okay. You've coined the term inspirational soul to describe your music. How do you develop this unique sound? I think you told me about that. Tell me about the phrase inspirational soul.
I'll do that, man. People would always listen to my songs, like I say, starting with in 2015 with the song By Myself. People would say, man, is this gospel? Is this R&B? It's always, is this gospel? Is this R&B? And I'm like, it's neither and it's both. so the idea came to me that is soul music that's meant to inspire. And so inspirational soul was what I said, hey, this is the best way to describe my music is soul music, but it has a tonality to it. It has a purpose in it that's meant to inspire you, meant to lift you. And so hey, I might be the only person using that genre tone, but that genre label, but that's how I describe my music. be it my R&B songs, singing about love and relationships, or songs like, Time Machine and Fingerprints,
Mm.
where I'm in my own way paying ode to, you know, a spiritual relationship and how that impacts my life here. So it's just the best way to kind of sum up who I am and what's reflected in my music.
Okay. And then I got something I want to show you because I'm looking up. I'm like, let me get some info on
Every
Alvin
now and
Garrett.
again,
Then
get put in
pull it up.
situations that test your pride, that really challenge your humility. And we all go through it. But when you go through it, don't lose pride. Don't lose pride in your craft. Don't lose pride in your gift. And certainly don't lose the pride you have in your dream. Humility is the foundation, but your pride is what keeps your head up when people try to knock you down, because they will.
Wow. I'm trying to find the words, but I can't. Bruh, I think you definitely put the inspiration in Inspirational Soul, both in the writing process, in the booth, in front of the camera. That's you've done a lot and you're doing a lot. So my next question would be, when all is said and done, what imprint are you trying to leave? What imprint is Alvin Garrett trying to leave on the world? I mean, we all have a short time while we're here, and we all have a purpose. When we're born, we all have a purpose. Some people don't live long enough to recognize or realize their purpose.
Right.
It just seems to me, and I'm just an outside observer, you found yours. What imprint? Somebody reads the story of Alvin Garrett 100 years from now. What do you want them to think about Alvin Garrett? What do you want them to say? What should a teacher or a professor teach about your work?
I would love to be remembered as a person who lived their life in a way where they needed, lived their life in a way where it mattered to other people, in a way of lifting them, right? That you lived your life to edify not only your own life, but other people. So I measure my success, to be honest, by the success of people I've touched. I have young men right now who have jobs, who they're moving forward in their life, and they say, "Hey, Mr. Garrett, is because of you that I XYZ." That may not be a story that makes it to the news, but it's a story that's written in my legacy, right? There are musicians that are touring now, and they're finally making it, and they're all over Instagram and they're all over the world, and they say, "Hey, big bruh, I learned this from you. I learned how to be a professional from you. I learned the value of showing up on time. I learned the value of not only playing the music, but having a good attitude, smiling all the time, just having a good presence. I learned the value of that. And that's how I got the gig over this other musician. Thank you, big bro, for teaching me that." So that person might be a father. That person may have a family. So as a business person, as a person that is creating opportunities for other people, how does this help you live your life better? And in those circles, when I'm gone, I want them to say, "Hey, you got this nice house because, there was this guy named Alvin Garrett who talked to me when I was 20 years ago. He talked to me and told me not to do XYZ. You didn't even know Daddy was in jail, did you?" "No, Daddy." Well, I talk a lot different because I had this guy stop me and tell me I'm better than what I was. You see what I'm saying? To me, those are the true stories that last forever, and that's in the hearts of the people you touch. If I'm afforded the opportunity, because I'm not in control of my own destiny, to become massively famous, then that's fine. I still desire the same thing, which is to use my influence to empower and uplift people. That'll never change.
Got you. Wow. All right. I'm almost done. I promise. I ain't gonna keep you here all day. I can probably, I can go back and forth with you for about 2 hours because I'm just like, this man, he's dope. Okay. Going back to the single with You Give Me Life out now. What's next for you? any upcoming tours, collaborations, new projects on the horizon. And then I'm going to throw one piece of salt that I'm looking forward to on April 4th or the 5th.
5th, yeah. April 5th.
Talk about that tribute to Al Green.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. So
I need to hear about that. Go ahead.
I'm going to take you down the line. So this You Give Me Life single is the lead single from a new project that'll be coming out later this spring. It's called Talk to Her Like This. And it is a truly R&B record where if you're a fella and you want to talk to the ladies and you ain't quite as smooth as me, you can just pull out this album and let this album talk for you, because back in the days when R&B, the way I used to love it, it used to speak for you. It would be a line, it would be a song that you could play and say, hey girl, what he said, what she said. And R&B should be that surrogate voice and mean something in relationships, not just the trauma of what people are going through, but the aspirations of what people want to be when they think about love. And so it's that kind of R&B record where it's just, you want to play it when you with somebody. How about that? Right. But it's tasteful. It's not quote unquote sex music. It is love music. And so I'm really excited about that album, Talk to Her Like This. And on April 5th, be doing a show called Songs in the Key of AG, right? Songs in the Key of AG. My initials, AG, Alvin Garrett. Al Green, my man, AG. And it's so funny, a lot of people hear my music and they say, man, you kind of remind me of Al Green. So this is sort of a show where I'm paying tribute to both AGs, right? Myself and to the great Al Green, but more so to the feeling you get when you listen to both of our music. So it'll be blended. It's not like a traditional tribute show where you're just singing somebody's music and it's exactly how they do it. It's in the spirit of what you felt listening to Let's Stay Together, when you heard Everything's Gonna Be All Right. And, when you hear those songs, how it makes you feel. Well, it's going to be a night of songs in the key of AG.
Now, I'm trying to be there. But there's one song specifically by that other AG. If you're going to sing.
Which one?
For the Good Times.
You know I am. Come on, bro. Oh, and let me tell you, you got to show up, because I do it in the style of a good old-fashioned preacher. Okay?
Oh, okay.
I got a special spin I put on that song that tears the house down every single time. I love that song. And I'm a storyteller. So, yeah, that's one you definitely want to be there for.
Well, I plan on being there. And for the folks who are watching this, wherever you may be, he has a new single out. Give me the name of that single. I said it about 4 times.
You Give Me Life.
There we go. With everything that you've done, last question. What else do you hope to accomplish musically? With all that you've done, from the first time you touched that bass to everything that you've done, what's left?
Well, at some point, I want to package it all up and do it for somebody else. I want to be for some other artist, some other writer, some other musician, what took me so long to find, which is somebody that believes in me, right? Just be that opportunity. It's one thing for people to believe in you, but it's another thing for people to put resources behind that belief. And so I'm thankful for the few people that have come along in my life who said, not only do I believe in you, I'm going to open up doors for you. And so one day I want to be able to package it all up and find some person who's just only lacking resources. And maybe I can be that resource to help that person take their artistry to the next level. So as an executive producer one day, not just producing my own music, but maybe helping somebody else have a successful career. That's the next phase of what I would like to do.
Okay. And how can fans continue to support you? For those who are fans of your work, for those who will be reintroduced to your work, for those who will be introduced for the first time, how can they support you and stay connected with Alvin Garrett?
Let's go to alvingarrett.com. Let's sign up on that email newsletter. That links you to all of my social media, which is at the Alvin Garrett. So if you're going straight to social media, that's the Alvin Garrett, and go to YouTube and look up Alvin Garrett and get to see me on these nice videos. Got a really nice video out right now for You Give Me Life, but always start at that website to get the most content.
So please make sure you go there, get the content, go to your favorite streaming site, I'm telling you, once you turn it on,
leave it on.
I hope you don't have a lot of work to accomplish for today, because you're going to sit there finding yourself. For the older folks, if you remember listening to Float On by the Floaters back in the day, or I can name about 30 songs that just kind of took you away. Not trying to gloss you up. I'm simply saying that's what it did for me. I turned it on and couldn't turn it off. So with that being said, it's been an absolute pleasure having you, your music, your message, your mission. Absolutely inspiring. And I just want to thank you for sharing your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak, and thank you for sharing your experience with the music. And hopefully everybody else that's listening and watching will go do the same and just visit any of those streaming platforms, pull up Alvin Garrett and go on that ride, man. So thank you so much.
All right. And to everyone watching, make sure you check out You Give Me Life, available now on all streaming platforms. Follow Alvin on social media at the Alvin Garrett, and visit www.alvingarrett.com for more updates. This is D.Moss. It's the last page, y'all. Enjoy the music. Alvin, thank you so much, man.
Thank you, man.